are outside of our usual realm, or ones that Temple student government may not usually highlight. For example, I'm part of the Black Student Union. We often feel underrepresented, so certain marginalized groups, just bringing them to light. And
in addition to that, Main Campus Programming Board isn't a replacement for an organization planning. They're a resource in the same way that TSG is a resource. We think that it would be really great if organizations work with MCPB to help plan their organizations. I don't think that takes away from any other organization. It just says, hey, there's this resource out there, and we want Temple students to know all of the resources available to them.
The next question is for Owl Opportunity. In the first debate, you mentioned that once the new library is completed, you would create a sexual assault crisis center in Paley Library. How do you plan on achieving this?
Yeah, so with that, we'd be working directly with the compliance director. This is somebody who works directly with all the resources that we have currently. And so what we do, what we want to do and what we are going to do is combine all those resources together. Previously, the library was used for a variety of different resources. If you look at Minton Hall, our career center wasn't originally there. And so we want to recognize that space that is continually being converted into different spaces is able to do that. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that all of our spaces for sexual misconduct are combined in the same center so that students don't have to go all the way across the city to get help. They are able to get all their testing done, all their services that they need at one center, and they're able to feel comfort at Temple University.
So, our opportunity to follow up. What is your plan of action?
Yes. So with that, we first of all be identifying the resources that we currently have. So we have resources, entitlement counseling services, and 2 professional staff members that deal exclusively with sexual misconduct. And so what we want to do is move those resources and combine a space in which the space entitlement counseling services can be converted into a space exclusively for sexual misconduct. We also want to bring in individuals from the health services and make sure that they're providing biometric scans and all the tests that victims need after these events. So it would be pulling in all these resources, having that established location, and working with our administration to create that event. So we will have funding.
One more question. Do you think that it is a challenge to have an assault center in the center of campus?
No.
As with any issue that is a sensitive topic, it can be very difficult to have students be able to go to that space. Looking at entitlement counseling, the fact that it's in an advising center helps bring that sense of discreetness that comes with it that is necessary for those students who are trying to seek help. By having not only be a sexual misconduct center, but more of a crisis center for a variety of different issues, overarching past mental health, but also physical health as well, you're able to better disguise that so students don't feel like they're going to the mental health building or they're going to the sexual misconduct building. They're going to the center to get help for whatever their needs are. And that privacy is being kept that way by having that centralized location. So having everything spread out across campus and across Philadelphia.
The next question is for Take to You. You mentioned in the previous debate how TUPD does not need to increase their campusing of Temple University and the surrounding community where a large majority of Temple students live. Last year, TUPD expanded their border patrol and saw a major decrease in crime related to students and community members. Instead, you mentioned you wanted to allow students and community members to canvass together. Could you please expand on this?
Right. So this is a really great question to bring up right next to the question of the Sexual Assault Crisis Intervention Center. The Sexual Assault Crisis Intervention Center is part of the FBI and the Department of Justice's Title IX investigation of Temple's mishandling of sexual assault complaints. That includes the mishandling of sexual assault complaints by TUPD. We have not seen a change in leadership. We have not seen an outcome of that investigation. We haven't seen anyone lose their job. We haven't seen anybody get additional training. We don't think that a problematic department like that should be given more funding. We think instead of using TUPD to build walls between students and the community members, instead students and community members can build a community together. Instead of this funding being used to patrol and control the people who have lived here for generations and generations before we got here, before we became visitors in this community, if we partnered with those people, they would be a lot more inclined to help us out, and we would have a lot less crime on campus.
Just to clarify before we go to questions for all 4 tickets, it was not the FBI, it was the Department of Education that were making recommendations to the university for this sexual assault center. In the limited time, sort of ish, we have left, we're going to have questions that all tickets will answer, so we can pass the microphone to Leaving to you, and we'll do these alphabetically. The first one comes from Junior Victoria DeFazio. Temple has a huge population of students with disabilities, yet campus is not accessible and many services are not available to them. How does your ticket plan on fixing this?
I mean, basically, the easiest thing and most simple thing and the most realistic thing to do is just expanding our ramps, our accessibility services that should already be there, but we don't want the minimum. We want the best for our students to make it the easiest for them to get around campus. And with all the other additions that we're doing to campus at this time, it would be the best time to throw them in there as well.
I'll agree as well. The expansion of reasonable accommodations for individuals with disabilities is, one of the key platform pieces that our ticket prides itself on. What would we like to do? We want to work with the Disability Resource Services Office that's already in place. As Believing to You has already mentioned, expanding on the foundational pieces, so the divots of between the curbs to the streets, that's a reasonable accommodations. Elevators are reasonable accommodations. Bathroom stalls are reasonable accommodations. We need to ask them what we can do for them. I don't want to assume anything. That's what our platform is based on. Again, empowering them so they have the voice to say to us, this is the accommodation I need, this is the reasonable accommodation I need that they are entitled to.
And it's not just enough to barely comply with the laws. Yeah, Temple's ADA compliant, but that's not enough. We want to go above and beyond, because your experience is not just going to classes. It's outside of the classroom. It's the organizations we belong to. It's the people we go to. So it's important to make sure that they have that resource everywhere.
To talk about disability, we want to make sure that there is construction going on campus to make sure that there is accessible spaces for those that have disabilities, physical disabilities. On top of that, we want to make sure that we are revisiting syllabuses and making sure that the academic resources that people with disabilities have and deserve are being given to those that have disabilities. Also, on top of that, there are mentorship programs that are already established, and making sure that there is growth in those mentorship programs so that people with disabilities have that resource.
So we actually want to push for more disabled student organizations so that disabled students can have safer spaces on campus. And we also want to make sure that some of the areas around campus are accessible for the disabled community.
In addition to that, we want to something we found out over the course of this campaign is how ableist and discriminatory some of the attendance policies at this university can be for those suffering both physical and mental illnesses and disabilities. So we would take a hard look at those attendance policies.
You can pass the microphone down to Empower to you.
Is this a rebuttal or?
No, you guys will end. For the next question. The next one comes from Junior Jamie Fafana. TSG has had issues in the past with winning campaigns promising cabinet positions to their friends. Because this has vast implications for student organizations of all sizes, I would like to know what your proposed selection process for cabinet members would be.
Our proposed selection process would be an open application process to any individual on this campus that meets the GPA eligibility requirements, as well as submits a resume, and lastly has an open interview process.
Our campaign team currently is not composed of friends. It's composed of people who may have crossed paths in organizational work, but for the most part, we're in completely different realms. So we would consider composing our cabinet were we to win in a similar fashion by that who is most qualified or who has most diversity of thought.
And lastly, I'd say, there have been allegations that our campaign team will all get positions and that, we've already promised positions. That's not true, A, because it's against the election code and everyone should be familiar with the election code. B, it's insulting. For instance, some of our members are seniors. It's not really practical to give them a position in next year's administration, given that they won't be here for next year's administration.
So we're going to actually have a very similar process. So our team is comprised of not friends. I didn't know very much about these two individuals beforehand. And so moving forward, we want to have that same type of composition and making sure that our team and our cabinet is based off of qualified student leaders. I don't think it should be something such as friends being appointed. And I don't think moving forward that our students want that. So we're going to have an open application available to anybody who is qualified. And not having us interview them, but having a third party interview them. Because we feel that it's important to take all personal biases out of this and have smart, dedicated people who are willing to make opportunities occur across campus.
So we also do not believe that we should be appointing our friends, and we don't have anybody else on our team besides our, the VP, our president, me, our campaign manager, and our communications director. And we will also have an open application process, but we also want to make sure that anyone who comes into our team is not necessarily a student leader. They don't have to be a president of an organization. They can be from any realm of the campus. And we also want to make sure that they are reflecting our personal stances, because we are one of the only campaign that does have very explicit stances on certain issues. We want to make sure that our team is made up of people that reflect our morals, our ethics, and our values.
Similar to Take TU's campaign, Believe in TU's campaign is primarily composed of the 5 individuals that are working to get everything completed. But tying this back to our open door policy, we want to have open interviews so that we can get the most diverse group of individuals, the most diverse group of qualified individuals into our Temple student government so that they could successfully complete what we need to do as our time in Temple student government. My internship right now is a human resources internship, and I spend the whole day looking through resumes and going over interviews with people, so I believe that our team is qualified to recognize these people that we need to hire.
Any team like to rebuttal? No? Okay. Our next question is from Ryan A. Jr. here at Temple. A lot of Temple students have expressed concern over the lack of TU alerts we receive. What can you do to address this concern? We'll have our opportunity to answer first.
In terms of campus safety, we want to make sure that students are informed on the various issues that are going on around Temple. For example, TU alerts, which are a very effective method of communication. And we believe that that should be implemented further by making sure that TU mobile apps are also utilized in terms of TU alerts, and making sure that a lot of the major issues that occur and the major incidents that occur are being notified through TU alert. And
Yeah, along with that, for those of you who don't know, Flight's a great system that's out there. It tracks where you are, and so when TU alerts go out, the people that are within that vicinity are alerted right away. We don't want to have any delay with that. And so by having those uses of technology on our campus, we're able to provide that source of safety across campus.
And we also want to ensure that we are engaging international students with the conversation as well. A similar situation that always happens is that international students will come to Temple University having already set up their TU alert with their old phone, and then when they come to Temple, they don't have their new phone set up with that. We want to ensure that students are aware that TU alert is available and accessible to all students, not just the students who understand it already.
Just to ask, you have 20 seconds to respond to this. How do you plan on addressing the lack of TU alerts here at Temple University?
The lack of TU alerts?
The lack of TU alerts that Temple students receive, or the amount of time, how long it takes for us to receive TU
Yeah, so we want to make sure that if there's any event that occurs across campus, if it threatens any student security on campus, we want to make sure that that TU alert goes out. So it's working with campus safety and ensuring that all of our students are accounted for, and all of our students' safety is our top priority here at Temple University.
Take TU's turn.
This is surprising, but we completely agree with that student. There is a lack of certain TU alerts on campus. Certain TU alerts, I mean, by specifically targeting members of the community and not warning students about student predators, student perpetrators, or crimes committed by students. I was in the drought horse, and a gentleman had a disagreement with me and yelled, "Trump 2016," and punched me in the face. You know, but he was white, believe it or not, and there was, believe it or not, there was no TU alert about that. So I think that this is specifically targeting a group of members and creating hostility between Temple University students and members of the community that we are visitors in.
I also just want to say that there's no TU alert for student predators and student abusers. As a victim of dating violence, my abuser still is on campus, and as a student employee, and we did not get any TU alert about him. So.
At Believe in TU, we want to streamline the system, but also we believe that the TU alert system should not pick and choose what crimes should be on being sent out in the jurisdiction. No matter the crime, no matter if it's a student or a community member, it's still a crime. And definitely Temple Police and Philadelphia Police, we want to work together and network so they can exchange their information about crime in the area and therefore get the best TU alert system that we can possibly create.
So I think there's some misconceptions here. I know Dean Ives visited TSG this year to kind of clear up some of these. TU Alert isn't designed to tell you what's going on. It's designed to protect you from an imminent danger. So if there's something that is currently an ongoing problem, a TU Alert will be sent out. And I know Dean Ives, Charlie Leone, and many other people work tirelessly to make sure that happens. It's not designed as an information service. We recognize that students really want that, and that's something really important that we should listen to. It's currently available as a daily summary of any activity on campus online on Temple's website, but we would certainly work with campus police to make that more accessible to students. I also just want to briefly say that believe it or not, he's white is vaguely, more than vaguely inappropriate. To declare that a crime can be surprising.
Each ticket has 30 seconds to review. I'll opportunity you start. Wait, we don't get a rebuttal? No, they just start. You'll get one, don't worry.
Is everybody good? Yeah, so Our Opportunity wants to make sure that if there's any imminent threat to students, that TU alert is sent out. There's already a system in place that basically security members on Temple University's campus are able to assess the imminent danger around the campus. And so we want to make sure that areas that are prone to imminent danger, those students within that vicinity are alerted right away. So using technology and having that is going to make our campus safer.
Cool. I don't think it was obscene to say he was white when he yelled racist stuff at me before he punched me, but you know, to each their own. That's to say that that gentleman, you know, like you said, they report imminent dangers, which if we're following your logic, that gentleman was not in imminent danger, even though he left that bar and could have possibly assaulted another person. I would venture to ask you, who is in imminent danger, Aaron? What does an imminent danger look like to you, and why didn't it look like a drunken student assaulting people in a bar and grill?
I am not a police officer, I am not a security expert, and most importantly, I know what I don't know. And I know that we have people who do know these things, that do study for years, that have decades of experience in this. I think it would be really wrong to have a Temple student deciding what's a crime and what's not a crime, what's a danger, what's not a danger. We have people who study this for a reason, and I think it's important that we defer to them on issues that are their area of expertise.
I also want to hit off improvement in the TU alert system, though, just does not stop at the system itself. We need an improvement in our Temple police system so we can have faster response times, and therefore the crimes are getting reported even quicker. Some of the other platforms are advocating for body cams, which I've spoke with a member of the 25th Police District, the captain there, and he says they cost millions of dollars and their gross allocation of money, when we could be using that to hire more staff to cover a wider area more efficiently.
20 seconds, Michael, since I called you out.
So with that, there are actually grants and financing options able to get us that technology. It's not going to burden our Temple University security because there are already affordable options out there. And as technology progresses, that option is going to become more and more affordable, and there's already resources out there.
Take T, we'll answer this one first. This is another question for all 4 tickets. How do each of you plan on engaging with alumni?
We want to make sure that we're bringing alumni back to campus because they are our biggest asset, and we want to make sure that alumni's interests are aligned with student interests. This goes back to the football stadium. Did we ask for a football stadium? I think the donors just came out, the alumni donors just came out and said that we needed one, which we completely disagree with. I don't think we need one, and that's a conversation that we will further discuss later. But we want to make sure that alumni interests align with student interests, and we want to make sure that we help students connect with alumni better because a lot of the time they do provide a lot of professional support for students career-wise.
So alumni here at Temple are a great resource for the Temple University as a whole, whether it's infrastructure, but they're an even better resource for our students. We have one of the largest alumni bases. We need to get a mentorship process going, where me as a psychology student, I could go there and I could get a name and I could get an alumni that's ready and willing to help me get my foot in the door, ready and willing to help me get internships and answer any questions. And we get that some parts of this school do have that service, but we want to make it a central location so that everyone has access to these same resources. We want to do this by working closely with the Student Alumni Association, which is newly founded. We want to work with them to get these resources centrally located there so that our alumni are more than just a backup option for our students.
So we agree that a mentorship program is really important, and I think they already exist. I know I had a mentor through the Owls to Owls program under CST, and I know many other schools have that too. More important than reinventing the wheel is making sure that students are aware of these opportunities, that these opportunities have robust alumni bases to draw upon, and that we have those connections, especially with young alumni. And one way to do that is to leverage the alumni office's generous offer of helping fund any joint program that an organization does using alumni as part of the organization. If we can build those ties now with young alumni as we graduate, then those ties will continue to last.
Yeah, we agree that our alumni are one of the best assets that Temple University has to offer. One of the things that we have on our platform is directly connecting with the alumni. We recognize that the Fox School of Business and other schools have that mentorship program, but not all of our schools have that. And so we want to expand out that resource to all of our Temple University students. I think one of the things that sets us apart is that we actually have restructuring of alumni on our campaign platform. Empower to You doesn't. This is something that's not in their head. This is something that's a second thought to them, and they're not caring about our alumni base.
And to also go off on that, we want to go beyond a mentorship program and make sure that there is a database for current student leaders who will become young alumni to make sure that they are connected and they are coming back to Temple University to support the organizations that they used to be a part of.
Okay. I assume I get a rebuttal on that one.
Yes.
Alumni are not an afterthought. We're all juniors here. In 2 years, we're going to be alumni. Every single one of us will hopefully be an alumni at some point. They're not an afterthought, but the important thing is you don't have everything on the platform. We have to adapt. We have to learn. For instance, Michael and I were just at a dinner, 2 days ago, where someone from the alumni office presented about an innovative new program they have that is that database already in existence. We're learning with you guys, we're learning as time goes on, and I think it's important that we don't claim that failure to have something in the platform means that we never considered it, because it's patently false.
But the question is accountability. So this platform that you have once you go into office is a way for you guys to be accountable for the promises that you are making for Temple University students. So if you do not have that in your platform, then how do we expect for you to be accountable for the things that you're telling us?
20 seconds.
Because everyone here is hearing it, and everyone streaming it on Periscope's hearing it. I have faith in the Temple student body to hold us accountable, and I want them to. I want them to be coming to our office. I want them coming to Parliament saying, hey, you promised to do this, where is it? I have more faith, I guess, than our opportunity in the Temple students. I think they're engaged.
I'll opportunity to give 20 seconds.
Once again, we're just going to reiterate that you're saying that you want them to come to you and say, hey, you promised this, but it's not your platform. How are you promising something you never promised to in the first place?
We're promising that.
All right, let's pass the microphone to Believe It to You. Our final question to end the debate. Instead of closing statements, each ticket you have 1 minute to answer. After a year in administration, how will you measure your success?
Basically, I think the best way to measure your success and the most traditional way is what you have accomplished as your administration. But at the same time, your accomplishments as an administration, you shouldn't be focused on just those accomplishments. You should be listening to the student body, and you shouldn't be pushing forward your own agendas just to make yourself look good and make it look like you accomplished something in the end of your term, when you did not benefit your student body, and you did not represent them, and you do not work with them at all.
I think the easiest way to measure our success would be student engagement. That's currently an issue as it stands. So just being able to increase not only their involvement, but their investment in Temple student government, which is something we do hope to accomplish with the parliament. But more than that, we don't want to, as they said, place words or agendas on top of people. We want to empower their voices. So when we have students who not only feel that their voices are empowered for us to advocate them, but they feel comfortable advocating for themselves, we'll know that we've done our job.
I think in order to measure successes accomplished by a cohesive group of individuals is to realize that small wins lead to big successes. And it's making sure that in that 1 year term that you are in office, that you are implementing things for the future, that you're implementing programs and things that will benefit future owls. And that's what Owl Opportunity wants to do.
Wow, ours don't have fancy words. We do have policy goals, though, which is even better. We want to fundamentally stop the stadium, which we think is a misappropriation of state resources as well as a crisis of priorities in this university. We also want to establish voting rights, not only for Temple student government president, but also for a member of the North Philadelphia community, because we are fundamentally guests in this neighborhood. Lastly, we believe that we need to take fundamental steps to addressing sexual assault survivors on campus, not just comply with the law like Temple would have us do, but instead actually have a commitment toward people on this campus who are facing hostility and violence every single day. Win or lose, we're going to be back here, we're going to be advocating for these issues, and we hope that you guys will join us.
Thank you all for staying the full hour and participating and listening in on this debate. Before you leave, this is just a reminder that voting begins tonight at midnight and will end on Wednesday at 11:59 p.m. You can vote at uvote.temple